So I've been using the Galaxy Z Flip 3 for a few days now, and I have a lot of thoughts. I want to be super realistic with you because I feel like this phone is not for everybody. In a lot of ways, it's one of the coolest devices I've ever used, but I feel for some people, it's going to be a few steps backwards. First, the foldable aspect of it is a brilliant idea. We've seen this before with the Razr. Some of that nostalgia stays here with this. Not exactly like it, but it still reminds me of the good old days. The thing is, if you're a female, your jeans suck. Like, your pockets are like this big. Putting a phone inside of them is next to tough. I've seen girls walk around town with their devices hanging out of their asses, like literally about to fall to the concrete, whether it's in their back pocket or their front. Being able to fold your phone like this is going to solve that problem. Like, you're going to be able to fit your phone in your pocket again because of this size. You're giving up some of that vertical space for horizontal space. And even though it's technically more compact, don't let that fool you. It's still going to be about double the size of a regular smartphone, but for a lot of people, that means it's better fitting in your jeans. Like, I used to carry the iPhone 12 Pro Max everywhere where I went, but I switched from that phone because it was just too big. Not too big from a usability standpoint for me, but more so of carrying it. Like, I'd go to the gym and I'd have this massive device in my pocket. A lot of people would be like, Matt, what are you doing, buddy? It's a little cringy. Your pants are looking a little big today. But being able to still have that 6.7-inch display in a phone this size is awesome. Now, there's a couple of things I don't like. Like, this cover screen is really cool. It lets me quickly check my notifications by swiping to the right, which is great, but I feel like it could do so much more. Like, imagine if this was an actual Samsung smartwatch built into it. I think that would be pretty cool. Or maybe one day Samsung will be able to utilize the whole top of the display and we can like quickly respond to text messages. The camera's on the back. I'm not going to spend too much time on this. You got one 12 megapixel wide lens and the other one is ultra wide, but these cameras are from 2 years ago. Like, you're not buying this phone for the best cameras. You want better cameras, you're better off buying the Galaxy S21 or S21 Ultra. Now, this is the thing. I love the fact that I have a 6.7-inch display. And this display is, honestly, it's gorgeous. It's Super AMOLED. It gets 1200 nits of brightness. The colors are vibrant and punchy. But there's one thing that makes this very different compared to a regular smartphone. It's not so much the folding aspect. Like, yes, you are going to see the crease on this more so than you would on a Galaxy Fold or any other foldable device because it's being folded significantly more. And because of the girth or width of it, it's smaller. So you see it more consistently. But the one thing that bothers me is the protective layer. And this goes for the Z Fold 3 too. I understand why you need it. You got to protect the foldable display underneath, and they've made it stronger this year by 80%. But for some reason, Michael Fisher's playing on my screen, but for some reason, it takes away from the vibrancy. Like, if you were to look at this display compared to an S21 Ultra, the Ultra just looks, I don't know, a little bit more saturated or vibrant, and that has to do with the material. The other thing is the fingerprints, okay? Like, this protective film doesn't have the same sort of oleo coating or oleophobic coating that regular smartphones do. So when this gets dirty, it looks much dirtier than a normal smartphone. And for those of you out there that don't like black bars, it's very prevalent on this display because of the funky aspect ratio. Like, I don't know, it just gives you those big chunky black bars on both sides. And like, this holds true if you're gaming, let's say in Project xCloud or Xbox Game Pass or even Stadia, you're gonna have those bars. So I don't think this is a gaming phone. I think this is more of a productivity phone, being able to have more text on the screen vertically, like to be able to scroll through stuff, I found to be super unique. Like, the fact that it's so long that I can put it in its flex mode, just lay it down on the table, have a conference call without having to hold the phone or lean it against something. Like, the other day I was just making lunch and my daughter called me. I just set this on top of the microwave like this, and I was just talking to her. It felt great. I don't have to lean it against anything. So that was pretty cool. Now, some applications have the ability to have, I don't know, kind of like a second screen on the bottom. So like YouTube, for example, or the photo app, you'll see like the main camera on top, and then on the bottom you have sort of controls in order to manipulate the camera. Now, this is great in theory, but the problem is not a lot of developers are going to make their apps work with this. Like, let's be honest, you know, a few Samsung apps, YouTube will work with this, but I don't expect this to be expanded in the future. One of the coolest things about the old Motorola Razr was being able to just like flip the phone open, right? You can't really do that with the Z Flip 3. You have to kind of like open it up a little bit with one hand and then you can kind of swing it open like this. Please, I beg you, don't make it a habit of opening your phone with one hand, because a lot of people, what they're gonna do is, because the hinge is so stiff, they're gonna start sticking their finger underneath the display like this, and one day they're gonna sort of scratch it or puncture it, and I don't want you to break your brand new smartphone. So please always use two hands, or there are some cases out there that'll place a ring on the back that allow you to open it perfectly. Now, I'm not rocking a case right now because I don't know. I just feel like a case on a device like this would look super weird. So in order to protect the back of the device, I'm using a D-brand skin, which I feel like is doing a fantastic job. Now, one thing to note is that this phone is super fragile. Like, even though it's now water resistant, you still got to be careful about dust. It's IPX8, not IP78, which means it's still not dust resistant. So please don't bring this to the beach or anywhere where there's a lot of dust accumulating. The previous Galaxy Z Flip only had one speaker. This year they added two, so it's stereo and it sounds so much better. Is it better than the Galaxy S21 Plus or Ultra? No, but it's good enough and I feel like it completes the smartphone. The one thing I don't like though is the placement of the buttons. The power and volume rocker is so high up. Every time you want to access it, you have to really drag your hand upwards or bring the phone down, and it's a bit awkward. This is due to like the aspect ratio and the decision to place the button towards the top. This is obviously an engineering decision. I'm guessing the battery is over here, so it's hard to run the cables down here since there's not enough room, but ideally the buttons would be better on the bottom for two reasons. One, it's more accessible, and for the fingerprint scanner. Like, if I was able to have the fingerprint scanner here instead, I could literally hold the phone like this, open it up, and automatically be logged in. To do that with the buttons up here is so awkward. Like, you'd have to bind it to your finger like this and then open it up from the bottom, which is just super weird. In a perfect world, if engineering can make this happen, physical fingerprint scanner on the back would be ideal, because you just hold the phone with your finger like this and then flip it open and you're automatically in. Now, since we're on the topic of batteries, look, the battery life on this is terrible. If you're a heavy user, you're gonna have a tough time getting through the entire day. Like, this is a 3,300 milliamp hour battery. I was getting anywhere from like 3 to 4 hours of screen on time if I was super conservative. If you're a light to medium user, you'll probably finish the day with like 20%, so you're okay if that's you. As for wireless charging, it can only go up to 10 watts, and for some reason, wirelessly charging this device would get a lot hotter than most smartphones. I don't know what it is. Maybe it's just the density of the battery. When you wirelessly charge this, it gets really hot, and that's probably one of the reasons why they're limiting it at 10 watts. You can fast charge it up to 15 watts, so it's not nearly what you can do with other phones, but again, there's some sort of limitation due to the battery size. Here's the honest truth. If you're someone who's just trying to make their life more efficient, practical, improve their workflow, using a regular smartphone is way better. It's just easier to get into. It's easier to access things you enjoy. It's a lot more practical. This requires an extra step, and it may not seem much on paper or on the surface level, but when you continuously have to flip open your phone day after day after day, those little quirks add up over time, and they have an effect on you psychologically. Now, is it going to make you depressed or anything? Absolutely not. It's just not improving your life. It's adding those little stresses that you don't need. You're also giving up a lot. You know, you're not getting better cameras. You're giving up battery life. You're giving up dust resistance. You're giving up better speakers, and you're giving up fast charging. But here's the thing. This is a cool device. There's no way or straight way to say about it. It is a cool smartphone. There's nothing else like this out there. And I think this device is perfect for individuals that have always wanted a big screen, but didn't want a big phone in their pocket. And if you're okay giving up all that other stuff, which by the way, you can get for cheaper than this, then this is the device for you. So yeah, that's the Z Flip 3 in a nutshell. An amazing smartphone, a beautiful smartphone by Samsung, and one I'm going to continue to use, but you just have to ask yourself, is this device for me? Like the video if you liked it, subscribe if you haven't already, and I'll see you guys in the next one.